No emotion is as powerful as fear, so it's no wonder that some of TV's best shows are built around what frightens us. Whether it's losing everything or being wiped out by AI, these shows use fear to craft their powerful stories. The fear of dying is something nearly all of us deal with. Set in the afterlife, The Good Place clearly taps into this common fear. But it's another worry that the show truly focuses on: the fear of being silently judged. The Good Place centers on Eleanor Shellstrop, a young woman who dies in an accident and finds herself in what she's told is heaven. Over the course of the series, though, Eleanor discovers that she's actually in the other place, the bad place.
Holy mother-forking shirt balls.
She also learns that every human on Earth has had their lives recorded, and every action they've ever taken has been given a positive or negative value. The total score determines whether you end up in the good place or the bad place. We may spend our entire lives wondering what lies beyond and even fearing what that might be. But the real dread comes when we think about how someone may be judging us for even the most minor mistakes. Work-life balance is a big issue these days, especially in a post-pandemic world where more and more of us are working from home. Yet the problem of being consumed by our work life is one society has faced for ages. This fear of work consuming our entire lives sits at the center of Apple TV Plus's critically acclaimed sci-fi drama, Severance. At the mysterious biotech company called Lumen Industries, we meet Mark, who works in the macro data refinement division. But in this bizarre future world, employees undergo a procedure called severance, where a person's entire memory structure is manipulated so that they have no memory of work after they clock out.
There is no other one. It's me. I do the job.
It also means they have no memory of their personal lives when they're clocked in, effectively creating two distinct identities within a single person. It's the work version of Lumen employees that we all fear, a life dedicated solely to our job with no life outside of it. On some level, all of us worry that we might not be as nice as we think we are, and comedian Nathan Fielder explores this fear in his 2023 series, The Curse. Fielder has a reputation for blurring the line between reality and fiction, and The Curse might be his strangest project yet. A drama centered on a young married couple who host their own reality show, the series follows Asher and Whitney Siegel, whose TV project revolves around their efforts to lift up an immigrant community by providing them with affordable homes fueled by clean energy. The question becomes, however, whether they actually want to help people or if they're just trying to get rich off the backs of the less fortunate. Nearly abstract at times, The Curse digs into the nature of goodness and ego. As the story unfolds, we get to understand the Siegels' true character, or rather, as true as they're willing to reveal, and come to ask whether they're even nice people at all. At times, the series can get downright uncomfortable to watch, mostly because of how relatable it is, even if most of us have never gone to the same extremes as the Siegels. Because, while we all want to believe we are good people, there's always that little voice in the back of our heads asking, what if we're not? Everyone has at least one moment in their life where they fear they'll never find a committed romantic partner. And no show captures that fear better than the British black comedy Fleabag.
Thought you'd be in prison by now.
Oh, well, keep trying, but they just won't have me.
Written by and starring Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Fleabag follows the journey of an unnamed Londoner in her search for love and companionship. As the series opens, she is reeling from the death of her best friend Boo, who took her own life after being cheated on. Beside herself with grief, Fleabag eventually realizes that deep down, she's terrified of being alone. Worse still, to find what she's really looking for, she's going to have to come to terms with her past and her own character flaws. A darkly comedic rom-com, Fleabag is some of the best drama to come out of British television in the past decade. But be warned, the story will probably have you taking a long look in the mirror and reflecting on all your past romantic mistakes. While most of us aren't hiding a secret second life, we have probably all suffered from some form of imposter syndrome and the fear that those around us will discover that we're not really who they think we are. That worry, whether real or imagined, is terrifying, and Mad Men captures it perfectly.
You're not my family. What's the matter with you?
I just know how people work.
Mad Men is the story of Don Draper, a whip-smart, savvy ad executive in the 1960s who, at least from the outside, seems like a normal working husband and father. But he's also a swinging 60s womanizer behind his family's back, romancing just about every beautiful woman who enters his field of vision. And yet, that's not his biggest secret. Don Draper isn't even his real name. Over the course of the show's run, we learn about his dark past and the effort he's gone to in order to hide his true self. because Don Draper isn't just a new name. It's a new identity that he's created to be stronger, tougher, and more charismatic than the man he really is. Most parents go through a phase where they wonder if they're making the right decisions for their kids. Will their bad decisions backfire and ruin their children forever? Will they fracture the already tenuous relationship they have with their rebellious teens? Well, Pamela Adlin's Better Things is basically a show about a single mother who lives under the constant weight of parenting pressure.
My baby. You're in the world.
Adlin plays Sam Fox, who, no matter how hard she tries, never seems to be able to get parenting right. She shows her daughters love and care, but sometimes overreacts to her kids' mischievous behavior, and they're always causing problems. Even when her kids are good, the stress of work and managing her home means Sam can't always be the best mother she aspires to be. In the end, the series gives us a mom who is trying her best and isn't always perfect, dealing with the fear that she could be better. The greatest fear every new mother or father has is that someone will take their child away. The Apple TV Plus series, The Changeling, begins with just such a horror, as Apollo Kagwa grapples with the abduction of his newborn son. In The Changeling, it's Apollo's seemingly disturbed wife, Emma, who is revealed to have taken their baby, though for what purpose we don't immediately know. The story ultimately unravels a complicated web that all leads back to what appears to be some kind of cult, as well as an apparent supernatural evil. We may not fear those kinds of devilry, but the specter of kidnapping and other terrifying dangers haunts new parents, especially as human trafficking and child abductions have seen alarming increases in recent years. The fear of another global pandemic sits with most of us these days, even if it's just in small, subtle ways. HBO's Station 11 puts that fear front and center, even if it didn't do it on purpose. Not on purpose, we say, because Station 11 began production just before the outbreak of COVID-19 and eerily had to be paused when most of Hollywood shut down amid the pandemic. The show opens in 2020, right as a deadly airborne virus begins to rapidly spread, killing much of the population. At the heart of the story is a young girl named Kirsten, who winds up in the care of a stranger named Jeevan after she's unable to find her parents during the outbreak. Decades later, with society all but gone, an adult Kirsten lives with a post-apocalyptic theater group that entertains survivors with their traveling show. It's a not-so-impossible future world we all now legitimately fear, as we came too close to seeing it become a reality just a short while ago. The fear of technology going haywire isn't anything new, nor is the fear that it will take over our lives and take away our humanity. But never have these fears been more well-founded than today, when artificial intelligence seems out of control, putting people out of work and taking the soul out of the creative arts. HBO's Westworld explored the dark side of AI run amok in a series adaptation of the 1973 film of the same name. In Westworld, technology is so advanced that lifelike robots called hosts are so convincingly human that they are used to populate a massive, immersive theme park set in the American Wild West. There, guests can indulge in their deepest and sometimes darkest fantasies, acting out violent and taboo desires to their heart's content without any fear of reprisal. This leads to a grim exploration of human nature, while also grappling with the notion that artificial intelligence could be sentient and thus deserving of its own rights. While the reality of Westworld may have seemed far-fetched when it launched in 2016, we're now in a world where it seems almost inevitable. Another Apple TV Plus original, Shrinking, stars Jason Segel and Harrison Ford as a pair of therapist co-workers. It's a powerful story and a hilarious comedy that explores the reality of many people's worst fear, losing a loved one. Segel plays Jimmy, whose wife died shortly before the series begins. He's still not recovered from the loss, but is back on the job in an effort to return to normalcy while also facing bitterness from his teenage daughter Alice. Now, his older, world-weary colleague, Dr. Rhodes, is forced to counsel the counselor through his grief.
You know who the most important person in your life is? You.
Shrinking doesn't so much explore death itself as much as it does the fallout and how it affects those who are left behind. And it's that fallout that's really what people fear. How does one move on when they've lost someone important to them? Most of us can't bear to think about such an eventuality, and when we do, we're left to imagine the emotions we'd go through and whether we'd be able to go back to work and return to a semi-normal life. Shrinking shows us all of that and more, as Jimmy can barely manage to get out of bed some days while going overboard with work on others. Featuring numerous characters who are driven by their experiences of living in poverty, Squid Game taps into the very real worry that most of us feel, that at any moment we could lose everything and be forced into impossible circumstances. Hailing from Korea, the Netflix original drama presents a reality competition unlike any other. Selected seemingly at random, the participants battle for their very lives in a series of games that test their skills and require them to make impossible moral choices. In the end, only the winner will survive, but the prize is a life-changing sum of cash. The drama plays out in a series of tense competitions interspersed with flashbacks that reveal how each participant's desperation for money drove them to the most horrible things imaginable. When this fear of losing everything arises, we often ask ourselves what we would do in the face of such a dire predicament. Could we accept a lowly job that we feel is beneath us? Or worse, are we willing to do shameful or even terrible things just to be able to support ourselves and our families? Sadly, though the games in Squid Game are fictional, the real world offers up more than enough sickening options for those desperate to make a buck. Can we really say with confidence that we wouldn't be willing to go to dark places if our situation left us with no other choice?